My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes the people who cause us the most harm are not strangers. They sit at our dinner table, they call us family, they smile in our face, but behind the scenes, they plant seeds of doubt, jealousy, and pain. Not everyone close to you wants what's best for you. And in this life, one of the greatest trials is not just facing hardship from the outside. It's recognizing it when it hides behind a familiar face. Sometimes the people who cause us the most harm are not strangers for you, but your friends and your enemies. We often hear the word demon and think of something supernatural or far away. But what if I told you that people can be vessels of destructive influence too? What if Shaytaan uses some of your closest companions to whisper lies, encourage sin, and slowly pull you away from Allah? That doesn't make them your enemies. It makes them people in need of dua and distance. So how do you spot that darkness, that spiritual corruption in the people around you? It's not by judging their past. It's by looking at the effect they have on your soul. When you're around them, do you feel closer to Allah or further away? Do they respect your boundaries and values or constantly try to break them down? When you share your dreams and goals, do they support you or do they mock, compete, or discourage? One of the signs of such harmful influence is manipulation. When someone constantly uses emotional blackmail to make you feel guilty for doing what's right, you may decide to pray more, dress more modestly, or stop a harmful habit, and suddenly they mock your journey, make you feel extreme, or label you as being too much. That's not care. That's resistance to your growth. Another sign is how they handle your success. When something good happens to you, do they show genuine happiness, or do you feel subtle envy in their tone? A forced smile, a backhanded comment. These are signs of an unhealthy spirit, one that might be spiritually ill, jealous, or even influenced by the whispers of Shaytaan. Don't ignore red flags because of titles. Just because someone is a sibling, a parent, or a long-time friend doesn't mean they're always good for your faith. We aren't told in Islam to blindly obey people, even relatives, when they guide us towards disobedience or pull us into sin. Allah is above all, and your peace, your faith, and your connection with your Creator should never be sacrificed for toxic loyalty. But remember, don't hate them. That's not the point. Spotting the harm doesn't mean declaring war. It means taking necessary steps to protect yourself. Set boundaries. Be respectful but firm. Sometimes distance is a mercy, not just for you but for them too. You never know, your absence might be the wake-up call they need to return to Allah. Pray for them. Ask Allah to heal their hearts, but never compromise your own well-being and guidance trying to fix people who aren't ready to change. Sometimes the greatest strength you can show is walking away with dignity while praying for someone in private. If you're feeling isolated, remember Allah, one abahati. Allah sees a Khalida, never behind your back, and He will never let you down if you continue to choose Him over everything else. Surround yourself with those who remind you of Jannah, not those who pull you into silent hells behind smiles and fake love. Because the people who bring you closer to Allah are the ones who truly love you, not the ones who constantly test your patience, damage your spirit and call it family. Not everyone who is close to you was sent to uplift you or support your journey of faith. Sometimes Allah places certain individuals in your life not as companions, but as tests. They may sit beside you, speak to you with affection, or even walk the same path as you for years, but deep within, their role in your life may be that of a lesson, perhaps even a hardship, meant to build your strength and reliance on Allah. You see, life is not always about finding comfort in the people around us. If that were the case, we would never grow. We would never realize the depth of our dependence on the one who never changes, Allah. Often, when we put too much hope in people, Allah shows us that they are limited, fallible, and even capable of hurting us. Does not mean we turn bitter or live in suspicion, but it does mean we must be spiritually aware. When you begin to take your faith seriously, some people, sometimes even your closest relatives or lifelong friends, begin to distance themselves, or worse, try to pull you back into the life you've left behind. At first, you may be confused. You may wonder why someone who claimed to love you cannot celebrate your growth. You may try to explain your intentions, hoping they will understand. But the truth is, not everyone is meant to walk every part of your journey with you. Some are placed in your life so that through their resistance, your faith becomes firmer. Through their criticism, your trust in Allah deepens. Through their betrayal, you learn to stop seeking validation from people and start seeking it from the Creator. There are moments in life where you will feel alone, not because you are truly alone, but because Allah is separating you from what harms you. That separation can be painful. You may lose friends. You may feel estranged from family. You may experience the ache of being misunderstood. But that pain is not wasted. That pain is what drives you to cry to Allah in the middle of the night. That pain is what teaches you to say, Ya Allah, you are enough for me. And when you reach that moment, when you finally rely on Him alone, then the trial has served its purpose. Sometimes the person who constantly mocks your efforts to become better is the very tool through which Allah strengthens your resolve. Every sarcastic remark, every eye roll, every insult, they become like weights that train your patience and purify your intention. Instead of giving up, you learn to persevere. Instead of reacting in anger, you learn to remain calm. Instead of proving yourself to them, you start proving yourself to Allah. This is not about thinking badly of others, nor is it about cutting people off hastily. It's about recognizing when someone's influence is no longer helping your soul. It's about realizing that pleasing people at the cost of displeasing Allah is never worth it. You were not created to fit into the molds others place on you. You were created to worship Allah, to follow His guidance, and to walk the path that leads to His pleasure, even if that means walking alone sometimes. The beauty of Islam is that even when the world turns away from you, Allah remains. His door is always open, His comfort is always near, and His reward for your patience is always greater than what you lost. So, the next time someone close to you disappoints you, take a step back and ask, is this a punishment or is this a lesson? Is this person breaking me? When you start to view your challenges through the lens of Iman, everything changes. You begin to understand that even the negativity around you has a divine purpose. You stop chasing people who drain your energy, and instead you invest in the relationship that never fails, the one between you and your Lord. So if you feel tested by someone close, remember, It may be the very test that shapes your character, strengthens your sincerity, and brings you closer to Allah than ever before. Not everyone is sent to support your faith. Some are sent to test it. But every test from Allah is an opportunity for elevation, if only you respond with patience, wisdom, and trust in His plan. In life, not every person who speaks softly has a kind heart. Not every smiling face holds pure intentions. Sometimes, people around us are not merely misguided, they are carrying the influence of spiritual darkness. And one of the greatest deceptions of this darkness is that it rarely appears in obvious ways. It disguises itself behind guilt-tripping, emotional manipulation, and subtle mockery. Recognizing these signs is not about becoming judgmental, it is about protecting your soul and staying sincere on the path to Allah. The Shaytaan does not walk up to you with horns and fire. He whispers. He uses the mouths of those closest to you. He plants seeds of doubt, inferiority, or rebellion through voices that sound familiar. Sometimes he uses a friend who constantly makes you feel small when you try to grow, a family member who mocks your modesty, a spouse who manipulates your emotions to control you. These are not random behaviors. Often they are reflections of a deeper spiritual ailment, a heart that is veiled from the light of truth and consumed by pride, jealousy, or denial. One of the signs is guilt-tripping. You begin to take steps toward becoming a better Muslim. You start praying regularly, dressing more modestly, staying away from gossip, and suddenly someone in your life starts making you feel as though you're being extreme or ungrateful. They say things like, "You've changed," or "You think you're better than everyone now." Not out of love, but out of resistance. They use your sincerity as a weapon against you. You're made to feel guilty for trying to please Allah. This is not guidance. This is manipulation. Then there's mockery. The jokes that cut deep. The sarcasm that belittles your progress. "Oh, look who became a scholar overnight." Next thing you know, you'll be giving khutbahs. And while it may be said with laughter, the intention behind it is often to embarrass you, to shame you back into your old ways. Understand that when someone mocks you for doing good, their heart is struggling. And Shaytaan loves to use people who haven't protected their hearts. Your growth reminds them of their negligence, and instead of taking inspiration, they project their insecurities onto you. Another tactic is emotional manipulation. They withhold affection, attention, or kindness unless you compromise on your values. If you set a boundary, you're accused of being cold or disrespectful. If you say no to something inappropriate, you're suddenly the villain. This kind of behavior drains your energy and weakens your self-worth. It's not love, it's control. And the one who truly loves you will never ask you to disobey your Creator just to keep their approval. But why is it important to recognize these signs? Because your spiritual health is sacred. The company you keep affects your soul more than you realize. If you continue to allow people under the influence of darkness to dictate your choices, your relationship with Allah will slowly erode. The same people who mock you today will not stand beside you on the day of judgment. They won't answer for your choices. You will. So be courageous. When you spot these behaviors, don't ignore them. You don't have to confront or fight, but you must distance yourself from anything that slowly poisons your heart. Set limits. Be kind but firm. Never trade your akhirah for someone else's comfort in their sin. Sometimes the most merciful thing you can do for yourself and others is to walk away from a harmful influence and pray for their guidance from a safe distance. This doesn't mean you're better than them. It means you recognize that you are weak and you need to protect your iman. It means you understand that darkness spreads quickly and you must be careful with what enters your heart. Remember that even the Prophet, peace be upon him, was told in the Quran not to sit in the company of those who mock the signs of Allah until they change their behavior. That's not arrogance, that's wisdom. So the next time you feel guilted for obeying Allah, mocked for your modesty, or manipulated for setting boundaries, recognize the signs. Know that this is not just social pressure. It may be a spiritual battle. And your job is to protect your faith like a treasure. Because it is. May Allah grant us the clarity to see the truth, the strength to act on it, and the wisdom to protect our hearts from the influences of those who have forgotten Him. There are moments in life when protecting your soul becomes more important than pleasing the people around you. It is one of the hardest truths to accept that sometimes the ones we love, the ones we've grown up with, or the ones we've known for years can become the very people we need space from. And this isn't because we don't love them, it's because we love Allah more. When your peace, your din, and your spiritual clarity are at risk, stepping back, even from those closest to you, becomes a form of protection. You were not created to live your life under the control of people's emotions. You were created to live in submission to the Creator of those people. There are situations where remaining too close to certain individuals begins to affect your heart. You find yourself constantly drained. You feel pulled into conversations that leave you empty. You notice your prayers becoming rushed, your patience wearing thin, your sincerity slipping away. That is not a coincidence. That is a warning sign. When the people around you become a source of negativity, mockery, or disobedience, it becomes necessary to guard your soul. And sometimes that means creating space, not to punish, not to look down on them, but to breathe, reflect, and realign with your values. Emotional distance is not always abandonment. Sometimes it's healing, it's clarity, it's protection. Family is a blessing, friendship is a gift. But when those relationships begin to suffocate your spiritual growth, you are not required to endure it endlessly. You are not obligated to keep placing yourself in situations that break your spirit and weaken your connection to Allah. Even the Quran speaks about those who try to pressure believers to go against their deen, even if they are parents. We are taught to be kind, respectful, and gentle, but not obedient. If obedience leads to sin, the emotional guilt can be heavy. They may say, "You've changed," or "You think you're too good for us now." But growth always looks like rebellion to those who are committed to staying the same. Your improvement may make others uncomfortable, not because you're wrong, but because your light exposes their darkness. And instead of reflecting inwardly, they lash out, hoping to dim your spark. That is when you must stand firm, not with anger, not with arrogance, but with resolve. Step back when needed, lower your voice but not your standards. Walk away without hatred but without compromise. Allah sees your intention. He knows the pain it causes you to create distance. He knows the tears you hold back when someone you love turns cold because of your devotion to Him. But remember, His pleasure is worth far more than their approval. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Sometimes your silence will speak louder than any explanation. Let your character reflect your sincerity. Let your growth be your response, and pray for them, for yourself, for peace. Because true peace only comes when the heart is aligned with the commands of the Most Merciful. There will be times when people accuse you of being distant, and that's okay. You are different. You are trying to draw nearer to Allah. You are trying to protect your akhirah. You are trying to clean your heart from the stains of sin and distraction. That journey is sacred, and not everyone will understand it. Some may mock it. Others may fight it. But if you stay sincere, Allah will strengthen you. He will place the right people in your life, people who remind you of Him, people who nourish your soul instead of draining it. So if you are in a situation where the people closest to you make you feel guilty for obeying Allah, remember, your silence, your distance, your calm withdrawal, it's not rebellion, it's protection. And your heart deserves to be protected. Because in the end, it is not the number of people around you that matters. It is the state of your heart when you stand alone before your Creator. May Allah surround you with those who uplift your faith and grant you the wisdom to step back when the heart needs space to breathe. One of the most misunderstood concepts in life is love. We are taught to seek it, crave it, and value it deeply. But not all love is sincere, and not all love is beneficial. In fact, one of the greatest deceptions of Shaytaan is to make us chase a version of love that pulls us away from our Lord. True love, the kind that brings peace to the heart and light to the soul, will always lead you closer to Allah, never further from Him. Love that is pure is rooted in sincerity, respect, and mutual support in the journey of faith. It uplifts you when you are down, reminds you of your purpose when you forget, and holds you accountable with kindness when you slip. This is the kind of love that reflects mercy. It is not selfish. It does not demand that you compromise your deen to prove your loyalty. Rather, it encourages you to be the best version of yourself, not by worldly standards, but by the standards of Allah. When someone truly loves you, they care about your akhirah just as much as your comfort in this dunya. They remind you to pray, not because they want to control you, but because they don't want you to miss out on a connection with your Creator. They advise you sincerely, even when it's uncomfortable, because their concern is not your mood, it's your salvation. They celebrate your progress in deen, not ridicule it. They are gentle with your struggles, but firm with your direction. This kind of love is rare, and it is sacred. On the other hand, any relationship, be it romantic, familial, or friendship, that consistently distances you from your prayer, your values, and your peace with Allah is not love. It may be desire, it may be emotional dependency, it may even be attachment, but it is not love in its true, healthy form. Love that demands disobedience is a test. Love that discourages your hijab, mocks your efforts, or pulls you into sin is not love at all. It is a distraction, a trap, and often a means of spiritual harm disguised as emotional closeness. Real love should bring you closer to Jahannam, not drag you toward Jahannam. It should make you feel safe in your faith, not ashamed of it. It should inspire you to do better, not tempt you to do worse. And yes, real love will still challenge you. It will point out your flaws, remind you when you're wrong, and push you to improve. But it will always do so with gentleness, sincerity, and hope in Allah's mercy. Sometimes people confuse control with love. They think if someone is jealous, possessive, or emotionally manipulative, it means they care deeply. But in Islam, love is never about control. It is about trust, kindness, and mutual growth. The Prophet taught us that the best of people are those who are best to their families. He didn't say those who dominate, silence, or intimidate. Love should feel like protection, not fear. If you ever find yourself in a relationship where your connection with Allah is weakening, where your conscience is heavy, where your guilt is growing, it's time to pause, reflect, ask yourself, is this what Allah would want for me? Is this the kind of relationship that will help me succeed in the hereafter? If the answer is no, then no matter how strong the emotional bond feels, it may be time to step back or reassess. That doesn't mean you hate the person, it means you love Allah more. And anyone who truly loves you will respect that. They will not pressure you to change your principles. They will not mock your modesty or discourage your repentance. They will walk beside you toward what is right, not stand in your way. Remember, love in this world is temporary. The people we love will either become a reason for our elevation on the day of judgment or a cause for our regret. Choose your relationships wisely. Choose those who make your heart softer, your prayers longer, and your faith stronger. And if Allah grants you such a love that honors Him and uplifts you, then hold on to it with gratitude and humility, because that is a gift worth more than anything this world has to offer.